Hey guys, welcome to the podcast. I'm Terra Harvell, founder and CEO of Harper Ellis Hair Co., a hairstylist turned multimillionaire. Over the past decade, I've scaled a multi-million-dollar, highly profitable salon and built an 8-figure extension and education platform, Harper Ellis Hair Co. I'm also the founder of Strata Salon Systems, a salon infrastructure that is actively disrupting this industry. Some people love me for it, and some people absolutely hate me for it. But I'm on a mission to give stylists and salon owners a different future than what this industry has historically offered, which is being overworked, underpaid, no real wealth, and a career that breaks your body with nothing to show for it at the end. And now I'm on a mission to expand that impact through owners and stylists who are willing to question everything that they've been told. This podcast is where I share what's actually working, from business strategy to leadership to building real wealth in the beauty industry. Let's go. I wish I'd learned this earlier. For years, I thought protecting what I built was the same thing as growing it. I thought if I just held on tighter, I kept 100% of every single thing, I made every decision, I controlled every single dollar that was in and out of the business, that actually meant that I was winning. And I could not have been more wrong. And I want to talk to you today about the thing nobody in this industry says out loud. Playing small doesn't feel like playing small when you're inside of it. And I totally understand that. It feels like being responsible. And sometimes it feels like protecting this legacy that you think that you're building. And it feels like you're actually being a good salon owner. But sometimes playing small is just fear wearing a business suit. And I have been there for so many years. The salon industry has one definition of success. Own 100% of whatever you're creating. Own 100% of the chairs, 100% of the decisions, 100% of the risk, sometimes take 100% of the credit. And honestly, we've been trained from the first day that we sat down in cosmetology school to the day that we sign our lease in our business that ownership means control, and control means safety. So we build these businesses like fortresses. We protect every inch of that business, right? And a lot of times we say no to new partnerships. And I know there can be failed partnerships. I'll go into that in this episode, so just hang with me. But we say no to outside capital because we're afraid of what it might do to our business and what control we might lose. And in all reality, we usually say no to anyone touching what we've built because we're just afraid that we're going to lose it. And I, again, totally understand that. But here's what nobody tells you about business. In the world of business, where people are actually out there scaling, building something big. And here's the thing. When I coach and teach salon owners, I usually only work with the salon owners that want to actually build something big. I'm not usually working with the salon owner that is just okay with building a really small few chair salon. I'm working with owners every day that are trying to crack the code of building something bigger than them, building something that operates without them. Salon owners that want to build something that their team can actually win and not just be an employee inside of their business. And so the level of salon owners that I work with every single day are completely different than your industry norm. So take that in accountability for what I'm about to talk about. Another thing on that is a lot of salon owners, good ones, talented owners who genuinely know how to build a book and also train their stylists, run the salon floor, are sitting inside of a fortress they mistake for an actual empire. And they are protecting something small because something small is what they can completely control. And I know this because I've been there for so many years. I'm a salon owner of a decade and I played small for so many years. So let me tell you what playing small actually looks like inside of this industry, because it doesn't look like failure. It really does not. It just looks like busy. And it's also what every other salon owner around you is probably doing. It looks like an owner who won't hire a manager because no one else can do it the right way. They can't answer the phone the right way. They can't manage the stylist the right way. It also looks like an owner who won't bring in a business partner with actual capital because they're afraid of what they'd have to give up inside of that room. And it looks like an owner who won't build a real leadership structure because if someone else has the authority inside their salon, it might look like maybe that owner matters less, or again, they're giving up control. And it looks like an owner who says, I built this with my own 2 hands, like it's a badge of honor, when in reality, it's the ceiling. And it's why your business won't really ever scale past a certain extent. You will still be capped by the square footage, the people that are inside of it. And I know this because I've lived this version of business inside the salon industry for so long. And something to note about my journey in building the empire that I have today is I've actually had a failed partnership. And I don't say that to open old wounds on a podcast, and because of that failed partnership, it changed the way that I think about partnerships. And for so many years, I licked my wounds of that failed partnerships, but also since that failed partnership, my business has just absolutely grown and scaled. And I'll tell you why. And for a long time, that failed partnership became like my proof, right? It became my evidence. It became my reason for going back and protecting everything myself. And I thought, if that failed and I already screwed this up once, I'm probably going to screw this up again. And partnerships just are not the answer. For so many years, I told myself, see, this is why you don't share ownership. And this is why you don't let anyone else in your room. Partnerships don't work. Do it yourself. All the same things that probably you're out there thinking. But also, while you're probably feeling like you're on an island, building every single thing from scratch and doing it on your own. But I realized that building everything on my own wasn't really strength. It wasn't the strength that I thought I had in myself as a business owner. And it was honestly just this old wound of a failed partnership that I was dressing up as a valuable lesson. And some of you guys may be able to relate to my story. Some of you may have not had a failed partnership before. But the truth is that partnership didn't fail because partnerships are dangerous. It failed because it was just the wrong partnership. It was the wrong fit. We did not have the same values, wrong expectations going into the business. We weren't clear on really what we were building. I hadn't yet learned what I actually needed from a partner, and neither had they. Also, too, early on in getting a partner inside of my businesses, it truly was this, I just don't want to do this alone. And I've always had that feeling, and that's honestly something you should adopt in the right partnership, but that was my only reason. Just if I could have someone else to share the risk with and someone else to share the responsibilities with, then I would be better, or maybe it would be easier, right? But that was just the wrong way to go after a partnership. And especially a partnership that you want to win with, right? So what I understand now is something that I wish someone had told me this, a decade ago, right? That it takes partnering with people who are actually doing more than you to build something big. Not people who need you, not people who are just impressed by what you've built, people who are already operating at the level you haven't even reached yet. People who bring something to the table you don't have, like capital, systems, infrastructure, relationships, a network you'd spend a decade building on your own. That's the point of a partnership. Pulling time forward, getting to your result faster because who you're partnering with has actually done the thing and is building the thing that you want to be a part of. So what I just said is not the same as the partnership that I had that failed me. That's the partnership I was actually looking for, of what I just told you about, right? And I didn't know how to recognize that back then. I didn't understand what partnership meant and what the point of a partnership was. So I want to fast forward this because this isn't just a lesson I learned in theory. I recently lived this. I actually just stepped into a massive partnership that I could not be more proud of. It's bigger than anything that I had ever built on my own or operate even inside of before. And going into it, I noticed something in myself that I want to talk about. And that's honestly the whole point of this podcast. Because I think it's the actual difference between owners who stay small and owners who do not, and actually build something massive that is valuable and exitable. Going into this new partnership, I wasn't afraid of what I would lose. I was afraid of what I would lose out on if I didn't take this leap of faith. That's a completely different fear, you guys, and it changes everything about how you show up in the room. It changes everything about your mindset, and it changes everything about the excitement of taking a leap of faith like this. The old version of me, the version still carrying that failed partnership, would have walked into this asking, what if this goes wrong? Like, what if I give up too much? And what if I regret this in a year from now? Like, what do I do then? That fear is all about protection and is all about what you might lose. This time, the question that kept showing up for me was different. It was, what does my business look like in 5 years? And if I say no to this, what do I actually lose out on? The capital, the systems that I haven't built yet, the network, the speed to the target. If I say small, because staying small, sometimes I know feels safer. But when you flip the fear like that, the decision gets clear super fast. And just to be clear, I didn't go into this partnership because I or my business needed rescuing. I went in because I could see with total clarity that the version of my business built entirely by me and my team alone, protecting every piece of it, was only going to be smaller than the version built alongside people who had already been operating at a scale that I hadn't reached yet. So, of course, I said yes. Not from desperation, from actual conviction. And I can already tell you, the relief isn't in what I kept. The relief is what I no longer have to build entirely by myself. And that's just the truth. Systems I didn't have to invent from scratch, which is what I've been doing for the last decade. And capital I didn't have to bootstrap for another 5 years. I've bootstrapped my business for the last decade. But I want to be able to go bigger, better, faster, right? And honestly, relationships and infrastructure, it would have taken me a decade to earn on my own. Now it's sitting right next to me instead of somewhere out ahead of me. That's the mindset shift I want to leave you with before we go further. The question is never just, what am I risking by saying yes? The real question is, what am I guaranteeing by saying no? So you may be asking, okay, what does this have anything to do with me and my salon? It has everything to do with probably what you want to build. I hear it all the time. Salon owners want to build something massive. They want to open multiple locations. But the reason why salon owners never really scale that big is because they can't live past location one, because location one may not have the infrastructure to even hold up location one, much less scale to 2, 3, 4, 7, 17, and so on, right? And so you also cannot do that many locations on your own. You cannot do that as a one-woman show. And going back to what I said, the salon owners that I work with, they want to build something really big. They don't want to be that single unit salon owner. They want to build something that outlives them and honestly does really become their legacy. And so that's what it has to do with you. I'm sharing this mindset with you that I have gone through, being both sides of the coin, and hoping that will help you understand what it takes to actually build something big. So here's a reframe that I want to give you today. I'd rather own a smaller piece of something that's becoming exponentially more valuable than own all of something that's limited by exactly how much I can personally do. Say that back to yourself for a second, because it goes against everything this industry has taught you, and I totally understand that. The thing is our capacity is not infinite. Our time is not infinite. Your ability to be the marketer, the educator, the operator, the trainer, the financial strategist, and the visionary of your business all at once forever is not infinite. There's only so much that only one person can do. And I, myself, as an 8-figure business owner, have fully understood that. And at some point, the ceiling of your business becomes the ceiling of you. And the owners who break through that ceiling are not the ones who worked harder alone. It never is. I mean, look at the history of business ever. The proof is right in front of you. They're the ones who found the right person to stand next to them in business and had the courage to hand over real ownership of a real piece of the outcome, which is how every big business is built. Here's why this doesn't get talked about in our industry. Because true partnership is rare. Most of what gets called partnership in salons is actually just a chair split or a title with no equity behind it. And I'm not saying that to offend you. I just understand this concept because I was there. It means two people may be on the same lease, right? So owners hear the word partner and they picture, getting taken advantage of by someone. They picture giving something up and getting nothing real actually in return. But imagine for a second a different version. Someone equally invested in the outcome, not just employed by it, not just one of your team members, but someone bringing capital you don't have to risk alone. Someone bringing systems you'd otherwise spend years building through trial and error. And honestly, after that business grows, you have to scrap those systems and start from scratch, right? Someone bringing relationships and opportunities that it would take you a decade to go earn on your own. You're automatically placed in that room because of the people that you're choosing to sit next to. That's not someone taking a piece of your business. That's someone actually adding more value that you can alone. That's someone multiplying what your business is capable of becoming with just a one-person show. So one thing to get clear, I don't share ownership because I need the money. I shared ownership because I believe the right partner creates more value in the business that I could create by myself. Protecting every single piece of my business alone is what is going to keep me small. So let's bring this down to the floor level because I don't want this to stay theoretical. So if you're a booth rental or commission salon owner and you've been circling the idea of a different structure, maybe a partnership model, a systems platform, an ownership group, and something in you keeps saying, no, I need to hold on to this myself, I want you to ask yourself what you're actually protecting. Are you protecting your vision? Are you protecting your comfort of being the only one in control? Are you protecting your team, or are you protecting your own identity as the person who just did it all alone? Because I've watched owners turn down real growth, capital, leadership, support systems that would have actually scaled their business past what they could build solo because they fear of giving up 20% felt bigger than the opportunity of growing the other 80 into something 10 times its current size. And I want you to understand it's just the simple math. 20% of something exponential will always beat 100% of something capped and something that stays really small. And I want to get really specific for a minute because I think a lot of this fear falls apart the second that you actually run the numbers. And that's the thing. Inside of our industry, I see a lot of emotion, not running the real numbers. And so here's the truth about every single unit salon that almost nobody in this industry says out loud. Most of them aren't worth what you think that they're worth. And I know, I'm a salon owner myself. It could be a stab to the stomach. But top tier salons, the well-run ones, the one with the real systems and honestly a lot of profit, they typically only sell for 2 to 3 times the EBITDA. And that's it. That's just the reality. I didn't make that up, so don't shoot the messenger. That's just business. And that's usually the multiple that they get. And to be real with you, I've actually never seen a documented exit of this kind at all. So they likely just sell their equipment and move on. And they usually call it retirement. That's usually the future of most salon owners inside this industry. So let's do that math together because that math really matters. Say your salon is doing $1 million a year and you're running a healthy 20% profit margin, and that's actually strong for this industry. The average industry profit is 8%, which is gross, but that's just the reality we live in. So that puts your EBITDA around $200,000. Now let's just say you sell at the very top of the range, 3 times EBITDA. Best case scenario, top of the market, perfect buyer, that's a $600,000 exit. That's the entire value of the thing that you've been white knuckling for years. That's the empire you've been afraid to let anyone touch. That's what you've been protecting so hard. You said no to partnerships. You said no to more capital, no to growth, because you were terrified someone might take a piece of it from you. And I just want you to sit with that for a second because I had to, and that was the moment that I decided to build something different. The thing that so many of us are clenching onto so tightly in the eyes of the market is a $600,000 asset. Best case, guys, best case, $600,000. And most owners never even get an offer that good because most single unit salons or even a few unit salons aren't run clean enough to hit the top of that multiple in the first place. And here's the thing, I promise I'm not trying to make you feel small as a salon owner. That's just me telling you the truth. And it's honestly the truth that this industry never told me. I had to go outside of this industry and learn from other people in order to have this information to understand what the reality of my business that was not actually an asset at all. And so here's what changed for me once I understood that math. I stopped asking, how do I protect the salon? And I started asking, how do I build something that isn't valued like a single unit salon at all? And so that's the real reason that you're watching me right now, open locations all across the country. I'm partnering with some of the best salon owners in the entire world, and we're building something bigger than just our 4 walls. And that's the real reason I'm expanding a network instead of guarding just my one single unit, just worried about what I'm going to lose. I'm not doing that for the sake of just getting bigger and building a bigger business. I'm doing it because a single location run by one person will always cap out around 2 to 3 times at a modest EBITDA. But a massive platform of salons where they have multiple hundreds of locations, systems that replicate a brand, a network of aligned partners, doesn't get valued the same way. It gets valued as an asset. It's something scalable, something a buyer would pay real money for because it doesn't rely on one owner and in one building doing everything themselves. And I want you to understand value. Value is as much as someone would be willing to pay for that thing, right? And that's the difference between owning a job and owning a business. That is actually an asset. And it's a difference between building something exitable and building something you'll be stuck operating forever, worth a fraction of what you think it's worth. So when I talk about partnership and about, giving up a piece to gain something exponential, this is the math underneath it. And I wanted to explain this on my podcast because I think there's a lot of questions around what I'm building and why. And you're not just trading percentage points for a peace of mind. You're trading a $600,000 ceiling for the chance to build something the market actually wants to buy and that is actually sellable. And I want to be honest with you about something. This isn't really a strategy conversation. Underneath it, this is a courage conversation. And what I've learned about entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs that are actually building something massive is they have a lot of courage. They're not always just hanging on to what will they might lose. They're actually looking to build something big. And it's very easy and apparent and clear to see. They're building big businesses that impact their teams and their own families and their own lives because they're not afraid to go out and find the right partner. But one thing I want to get clear is what real growth requires is sometimes running the risk of being disappointed in other people, right? Runs the risk of you having great judgment on the people that you're allowing to be around you. So better vetting on your end. And it also requires you to get really clear on what you actually need from someone else in order to build what you want to build. But that also requires for you to get really clear on what it is even that you're trying to build and stop making excuses for staying small. This is what I hear salon owners do all the time. They have a really low belief lid and they are constantly just making excuses. I only want to have a few chair salon. I understand that, and there's nothing wrong with that if that's truly what you want. Most salon owners, again, like I work with, want to build something big. They want to impact tons of team members. They want to help team members make a better income and have a better career and opportunities than they've ever been able to have ever. And so in order to do that, you have to build something bigger than you as one single person. So if you're listening to this and some part of you feels exposed, that's good. That's usually where the truth is sitting. Ask yourself honestly, what am I protecting right now? And is it actually worth protecting? Or have I just been calling my fear loyalty to what I built? I've been on both sides of this. I've protected something small because letting go felt like I might be losing something. I've also recently taken the leap into something massive, not because I stopped being afraid, but I got clear on what it was that I'm actually building. And I could not be more excited for the future. I could not be more excited for the future of the salon owners that I'm partnering with. And I could not be more excited for the future of this industry. And honestly, as a salon owner myself, it finally feels like I'm building something that is big enough to be worth owning a piece of. And that's what I'm so excited for, to share that with other salon owners. And so this is it for today. If this hits something in you, sit with it before you make your next decision about your business. Don't rush past this feeling if you are truly one of those that want to build something big. This is the conversation most salon owners never have with themselves, or honestly, never even learn this type of information in order to build something big. And it usually is the one that changes everything inside of your business. If you're interested in what a partnership like this could look like for you, visit stratasalonsystems.com. We'll see you next time.